Welcome back to our series on getting real about patient satisfaction in your healthcare clinics with Net Promoter Score. Scott McIntosh here, founder of Second Spring Digital. If you've joined us after watching our first video in this series, you're already well aware of the limitations of solely relying on Google Reviews and the power of NPS for clinics. For those just tuning in, I do recommend watching the first video for a deep dive into the why behind NPS. This video is to ensure that the transition to NPS feels less like a hurdle and more like an opportunity. Here's a quick glance at what will be in store for today. So in today's video, 3 implementation tips on moving to NPS. We'll look at setting up your NPS technology and then a sample of a full NPS system. Step 1, tip 1, clarify why. So before you start planning, communicating, and definitely implementing, just get clear on why. What are the benefits you're looking for as an ownership leadership team? Some of the available ones are separate clinic feedback from marketing, hear from more patients with an easy, approachable system, hear more success stories directly, which can be very motivating, find improvement areas more effectively, and get predictive information on where the practice is going. So get clear on why. Then there's an African proverb that goes something like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So you'll need to go together on NPS. So tip 2 is to help your team with the change and to manage the change. So explain why to them now that you're clear on it. Promise to conduct thorough training on the process and how to use it day by day. Create a communication plan for your patients that the staff can contribute to. Tell them how the results will be managed, where they can find the latest info, what the goals and even rewards are you have in mind for NPS. We'll look at that a little bit more in part 3. Talk about the potential risks like survey fatigue and options to manage. Allow for gradual phase out of the current system if it makes it easier to manage. For instance, you could start with new patients or one treatment type to dial things in. And then ask your team what their concerns are and what challenges they see in implementing such a change, and really listen to them and factor that into the project and the operational procedures. So step 3, tip 3, you'll want to communicate with your patients in advance too. So tell them how this is your next step in providing the best care that you can and continually improving, which is your mission. Tell them the measures you're going to ensure so that you can do this without it being an inconvenience for them. Assure them it's a simple 1+1 question survey, mobile friendly, something they can do in a minute, typically on their phone, and manage so that they only get a survey every N months or visits, whatever you decide is appropriate for your practice. Let them know any follow-on interactions based on their satisfaction level will be appropriate as well. Let them know how you'll process the things you've learned, and let them know about the ongoing improvements you're going to make with their feedback and anything else you'd like to add. For example, maybe you want to donate $1 to the provision of low cost or no cost care in your community for every response you receive, or a draw for a free session monthly. Mileage may vary. Now let's switch to looking at what setting up your NPS looks like. As a refresher from video number 1, here's the functionality you need in a complete patient satisfaction system. Compelling messages, a multi-channel system with SMS, email at least, an NPS survey as discussed, and then contextual follow-up. Promoters from passives from detractors, so they're segmented and can be handled differently. So you can put this together yourself if you like. You may need up to 6 pieces to pull this off. Your practice management system to keep track of your new and ongoing patients. This is really the trigger of the whole thing. Survey tool to issue and store those neat little NPS surveys. Communications tool to send out the texts and emails for surveys and related follow-ups. So portal to view your survey results and comments and manage the process day by day. A business intelligence tool to summarize all your survey results over time in various ways. Calculate your scores, compare them to goals and trends and benchmarks so you can analyze, make plans to improve the practice, which is the whole goal. And then a workflow and integration tool to coordinate amongst these pieces. This is the conductor in the back, making sure you don't have a whole lot of manual work to put this together. And for each piece, you'll want to arrange not to have personal health information moving between the systems, and to limit the publicly personal identifiable information in each system to only the minimum of what's needed. Confirm the data security meets the regulatory requirements in your area as well, at rest and in transit. So there's a bit to it, but it's certainly manageable. So here's an example of an NPS system in operation. This is for a demo clinic we operate called Galactic Chiropractic with Dr. Jane Phillips. So here's how Jane has chosen to implement She's just starting by sending out a text saying, hey, got time for 2 quick questions, letting them know that their voice matters, short and sweet, optimized for mobile. When they click the link, they get a survey intro page, letting them know to expect 2 short questions. Then they get an NPS question that we've talked about so often. This one's mandatory. Then next they get a why did you give that rating block, very simple and optional. In my experience, you'll learn some very rewarding and interesting things from the comments, and you'll learn to love them typically. And that's it. They get a thank you screen. It can all be done within a minute after receiving the text without any sort of strain typically. Now you can conduct that segmented follow-up that we've talked about because, again, you know your promoters from your passives and your detractors, and you know based on the NPS methodology that those are 3 groups of people that are thinking very differently about their experience. So this is the configuration for Galactic Chiropractic, but your options are limitless. So for promoters, Dr. Phillips is just sending them another text here asking if they'd like to provide a Google review. Google reviews are still important. They just have a different job and they work best in support of NPS. So then we can follow up with our promoters as well with other emails offering loyalty discounts if those are appropriate for you, or subscriptions if those are appropriate, letting them know how to help others receive care that need it, and so on. For your passives, Dr. Phillips has set up an email just to let them know that, hey, we've heard you and we thank you for your feedback. We're feeding this input into our ongoing continuous improvement. I'm available if you'd like to discuss further, which is very powerful. She also follows up later for a Google review with the passives and provides them helpful healthcare information between appointments. For detractors, she decided to just lead with an apology that they've had a bad experience. And perception's reality. If they feel they've had a bad experience, they've had a bad experience. With an offer to follow up one-on-one with them. She doesn't have any automation in place beyond that right now for detractors, but we're working to provide a Google review link in a follow-up email for detractors as well here. So that's it for today. To sum up, we've discussed 3 implementation tips on moving to NPS, setting up your NPS technology, and we looked at a sample NPS system. So next, in the 3rd part of this series, we'll look at how to use NPS as you operate the practice to actually grow that patient satisfaction. Now that you know what it is, if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel for more insights and practical guides. Those thoughts matter to us, so leave a comment with questions, reflections. If there are others that would benefit from this video, feel free to share it to your network. Thanks a lot for watching. I look forward to the next video where we dive into making NPS work in the clinic. Stay tuned. Take care.